Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai.
Jai.
We'll start with this prayer for invoking auspiciousness. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
So we are on chapter 1, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Until now, we have covered up to verse number 24. And in the last session, we talked about from verses number 12 to 24. And the main important thing that we saw there, that how the Vedic wars are fought following the principles of dharma. Even we saw that on Duryodhana's side as well, they were following some principles of religion. And if we actually compare with the people in Kali Yuga, even Duryodhana and his team may look like they are better than the people in Kali Yuga. So we learned that we should try to understand the principles of dharma first, and then try to follow them as best as we can. And then we saw that Lord Krishna and the Pandavas blew their conch shells, and we saw various names of their conch shells. So Krishna blew the conch shell called Panchajanya, then Arjuna blew Devadatta, Bhima did Poundra, and Yudhishthira had his own conch shell called Ananta Vijaya, Nakul had Sughosha, and Sahadeva had Manipushpaka. So all these conch shells were blown, and it made such a tumultuous sound that the hearts of the Kauravas were shattered. But when the Kauravas were blowing their conch shells and all these other musical instruments that they were doing, it wasn't mentioned that the Pandavas' heart was shattered. So we saw that because Pandava had taken the shelter of the Supreme Lord, then we could learn from that one who is taking shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest of calamity that is there. Also, when we were talking about Bhima, then we saw that what we can learn from Bhima. Bhima can do Herculean tasks, and he gets great benefits as well. So it was mentioned Bhima Karma Vrukodara. So we should understand from that first we should deserve, and then we can desire. Then Arjuna asked towards the end of the last session, we saw that Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to bring the chariot in between the two armies to see the Durbuddhe, the evil-minded sons of Dhritarashtra, and as well as anyone else who is supporting Duryodhana, they are also, he's calling them as Durbuddhe, or evil-minded people. So Lord is taking, here we can see that by listening to Arjuna, who is a devotee of Lord Krishna, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is following the instructions as a chariot driver, he's following the instructions of Arjuna. So we can see here that Lord's quality as Bhakta Vassala. So his devotees are wanting to serve Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna wants to reciprocate, and he also wants to serve his devotees. So we saw that just like Lord Krishna wants to serve his own devotees, then how much we should have the desire to serve the devotees of Krishna. And from there, now we will move on to verse number 25. So verse number 25. Bhishma Drona Pramukatha Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashraitan Samavetan Kuruniti. Who wants to read the translation?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here."
Yeah. So Lord Krishna has now brought the chariot in between the two armies. And as you can see in the picture, the army is actually huge. So Lord Krishna could have taken the chariot anywhere on the battlefield. But Lord Krishna is tricky. So what he has done, he has brought his chariot, Arjuna chariot, right in front of Bhishma and Drona. So he is most attached, Arjuna is most attached to Bhishma Dev because of like the grandfather and Drona is his teacher. So if Arjuna had this doubt, anything in his heart, then by looking at Bhishma and Drona, that is actually going to become even more stronger. So Krishna not only is bringing the chariot in front of them, and then he's saying, now you see, whatever you wanted to see, now you see. So just by seeing all these people in front of him, they are his teachers and his grandfather, then fatherly figures, friends, and all of that, then the power of illusion, which is entering from his eyes and it is gone into his heart. And of course, he had this doubt whether he wanted to fight or not. Because otherwise, why was he asking Lord Krishna to take his chariot in the midst of the army to see these people? He had already seen them all. He already knows who's fighting on the Duryodhana side, and he already knows who's fighting on his own side. So from that, we know that already something is going on in his heart. And Krishna knows because Krishna is the Paramatma in his everyone's heart. And he's also called Rishikesha. So he's the controller of the senses. So now Lord Krishna is using his power of controlling the senses to control some of the senses of Arjuna to bewilder him completely. And the reason is he can only use his pure devotees to give this knowledge to all of us. So he's making Arjuna an instrument by putting him into an illusion. And through his example, then by giving the instructions to Arjuna, we can also get those instructions for all of us. So we'll move on to the next verse. Tatra pashyasthitan partha pitrunath pitamahan acharyan matulan bhratrun putran pautran sakims tatha shvashuran suvridaschaiva senayorubhayorapi. Yes, Ram Mohan Prabhu or Anuradha Mataji, who's here. Yeah.
There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teacher, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-laws and well-wishers.
Yeah, so here, just in this one verse, 5 generations have been mentioned, 5 generations. So he could see the grandfather's generation, which is Bhishma. Then he's able to see father's generation, which is Shakuni and Shalya, they are his mamas or uncle. Then he's able to see his own generation, which is like Duryodhan, Dushasans, which are his brothers, and other 98 Kauravas as well. Then he can see sons, which are Duryodhana's sons, Lakshman. He is Duryodhana's son, and he is also present as one of the fighters. And he can see even grandsons. Lakshmana also has some sons, and they are also present on the battlefield for fighting. So like that, he's seeing 5 generations. So grandfathers, like 2 generations above, his own generation, and then 2 generations down. And this is how this 5 generations he's able to see. So, and many other relatives are also mentioned. So, for example, he can see teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya. Then Matula means maternal uncle, which is Shakuni and Shalya that we saw. Then he's talking about friends as well, Sakhim. So friends mean Kritavarma, Ashwathama. They are his friends on the other side. Father-in-law, of course, the father-in-law is actually on this side, but he's actually midst of the both armies and looking everywhere. So he's also seeing Drupada. Then he's also able to see well-wishers like Kritavarma. So again in this verse, it is said about Pashyaitan, Tatrat Pashyat. So previous verse as well, he was seeing. In this verse as well, he is seeing. So by looking at them, his view is now changing. And what we will see now in the next verse, he will start talking about Swajanam. Actually, in the 28th verse, he talks about Swajanam. So Arjuna is actually seeing, and at the beginning of seeing, he was saying they are evil-minded sons of Dhritarashtra, and all the people who are also supporting, they are also evil-minded. He used the word Durbuddhe. And suddenly, after seeing all of this attachment, the bodily attachment is awakening. And from that bodily attachment, now he's going to have compassion for all of them. And that compassion is going to confuse him and bewilder him completely. So let us look at the next verse. Tan samikshasa kaunteya sarvan bandhun vyavasthitan krupaya paraya vishto vishidanna idam bravit. Who's reading the translation? Yes, Dimple Mataji, go ahead.
When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
Yeah, so here Krupaya Paraya Vishto is mentioned. Krupaya means now the compassion has got awakened in his heart. Now this compassion is not only for his own army, but he's actually looking at the army on the other side. And from there as well, his compassion has come. So, and then looking at them, then it has affected him, and he has now started speaking like this. So we are going to verse number 28. So 28 to 30, these verses are actually 27 to 30. These verses are actually showing the compassion which has got awakened in Arjuna's heart. And in this section that we can see, starting from 25 verse onwards till the end of the chapter, Arjuna is giving now various different reasons for not fighting the war. And the first reason he is giving is the compassion. So by looking at all of his relatives, he has got some compassion, and he is giving that as a reason, saying that because of this compassion, I'm not fighting. So we will see this first reason that he's talking about. Arjuna uvacha drushve mam swajanam Krishna yuyutsam samupasthitam sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati. Yes, Vibhor Prabhuji. And then the next translation, Shanti Mataji, you can do, and the third one, Jeetam Prabhu, you can.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Arjun said, "My dear Krishna, seeing all my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up."
Yeah. So now the compassion is, so he has seen his relatives, that has actually awakened the attachment for them. From that attachment, compassion has developed. From that compassion, he has started thinking now all the things that can go wrong. Of course, in the war, he's thinking that all of these relatives which are in front of me, as well as my own army, many of them are going to die. And from that, he's starting to go into depression. And this compassion and depression, various different symptoms are now being visible. Now, this is very, very interesting that we can actually see and say that what is the difference between Dhritarashtra and Arjuna? Because in the beginning of the first, of the chapter 1, like the first verse, we saw that Dhritarashtra is quite attached, and he was talking about Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, right? So he was clearly attached, and then he wanted that his sons to be victorious, and that means he wanted Pandavas to die and his son to become the king. Then we also saw that when Duryodhana is actually seeing the army, which Arjuna is now seeing, at that time, as soon as he saw the army, his reaction was different. So we may actually look at this situation that what is the difference then between Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, and Arjuna? Because all three seems to be like materially attached. But let us see what is the difference between them. So even though the compassion in Arjuna's heart is misplaced at this point in time, still Arjuna is a pure devotee. And because he's a pure devotee, he is having a different reaction as compared to what Dhritarashtra had and what Duryodhana had. So let us first see the reaction that we saw between Duryodhana and Arjuna. So when the same army was seen by Duryodhana, the activity was exactly same, but Duryodhana, as soon as he saw the army, he started having diplomacy. He became diplomatic. And he started inciting his guru, which was Dronacharya. First, he started finding faults in Dronacharya. So, and then he started inciting their anger so that they can fight properly, and then that can bring victory to him. But by looking at the same army, Arjuna had compassion. And the compassion, as I was mentioning earlier, is not only for his own army, but also the compassion is for the army on the other side. So see the difference. So between Duryodhana and Arjuna. So even though we are saying that Arjuna's compassion is misplaced here, but still, because he is soft-hearted, he is having compassion after looking at both armies. Then what about Dhritarashtra? So Dhritarashtra was also attached, but he was attached to kingdom and his own sons. But whereas Arjuna's attachment is not to any of these. We can see actually over a period of time in Bhagavad Gita that Arjuna is attached to Krishna. And because he's a pure devotee of Krishna, Krishna has put him under illusion, and hence externally only it is visible that he's attached to his relatives. But internally he's only attached to Krishna. And what is the result of this attachment? So Dhritarashtra's attachment to the kingdom and his sons, because of that, he wanted the war to go ahead. He did not want the war to stop. And he wanted his sons to win, Pandavas to die, and his son to become the king. Whereas in case of Arjuna, because of this attachment, and because of his soft-heartedness, he did not want the fight to go ahead. And he's giving now various different reasons, saying that I don't want to fight because what is the benefit that I'm going to get? There are so many sinful reactions that I will get. And so many different reasons Arjuna is giving, which we are going to see. So the real attached person here in Bhagavad Gita, we can see is Dhritarashtra. And the real ungodly person that we can see here is Duryodhana. He could not even see Krishna at all on the battlefield. But here, Arjuna, the first thing that he's going to do after he's confused, he is going to take shelter of Lord Krishna. So let us look at what further symptoms are shown of his the depression, the signs which are being seen. And the other interesting observation that you can do in this verse, Arjuna says, Drushtwemam swajanam. So earlier he said Durbuddhe, and now he's saying swajanam. These are all my people. And how can I kill them? Right? And that is why, because of that, his limbs are now quivering and the mouth is drying up. And further, a few symptoms are given in verse number 29 and 30. So we'll read those as well. Vepatuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate gandivam samsrate hastat tvakchaiva paridahyate. Yes, Shanti Mataji.
My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. Yeah,
so now further is mentioned. The body is trembling, hair is standing on the end, and the Gandiva, his famous bow, is also slipping. And it is not ordinary. Like we may think that, okay, yeah, the bow is falling off from his hand, but it is not like that. Arjuna is so attached, and he's such a wonderful Kshatriya, and he's so attached to his Gandiva bow that he had taken a vow that anyone who asks him to give up or put down his bow called Gandiva, he will kill that person. Can you imagine? So he's such a Kshatriya and fighter spirit that anyone, like any Kshatriya or anyone who says that, oh, put your bow down, then he had taken a vow that I will kill such a person. And something similar happened in the war afterwards. So in the later part of the war of Mahabharata, what happened was Karna, when he was fighting with Yudhishthir Maharaj, he defeated Yudhishthir Maharaj because, of course, he's a better fighter when it comes to the bows and arrows. So Yudhishthir was defeated, and then Karna actually insulted him, saying that, oh, what kind of warrior you are? I so easily defeated you, and I'm not even going to kill you. So go away. And Yudhishthira was insulted, and he just left because he was also injured. So he left the battlefield to get some treatment. And when Arjuna heard that Yudhishthira Maharaj was wounded, so he was concerned, and he just wanted to go and see Yudhishthira Maharaj whether he is fine or not. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj understood that Arjuna is coming to see him, the first thing that he thought in his mind that, of course, Arjuna is my brother, and Arjuna would have heard that Karna has insulted and defeated me, and the first thing that he would have done is to actually kill Karna. And he's actually coming to see me to tell me this good news that Karna has been killed and I have defeated him and I have avenged you. So with that expectation, he is now seeing Arjuna. And when he sees Arjuna, the first thing he asks, have you killed Karna? And Arjuna says, no, I just heard that you are wounded, so I just came to see you. And Yudhishthira Maharaj could not tolerate this. He said, what kind of warrior are you? You could not even defeat Karna, and you have just come here. Why not you just give up your bow Gandiva? Oh, Krishna. So Krishna and Arjuna both are standing there. And the first thing Arjuna is doing after hearing this, he has come because of the concern for his elder brother Yudhishthira. Now he is taking out his sword. And he's saying that, how come you say this? That I have taken a vow that anyone who asks me to give up the bow, I'm going to kill that person. So he is ready to even kill his own brother Yudhishthira because of that vow that he has taken. But Krishna is, of course, there to save everything and the situation. Krishna says that, why do you have to kill your brother by sword? You should just kill him by words. Because for a respected person, if there is some insult that is happening, then that insult is worse than death. So maybe you can just use some words to insult him, and that will be as good as you have killed your brother. And then Arjuna says some insulting words, and then finally, after insulting him, he falls at his feet, at the feet of Yudhishthira Maharaj, and seeks forgiveness. So that story happens like that. So we can see that Arjuna is taking his Gandiva bow very seriously, and such Gandiva bow is now falling off from his hands. So it is not an ordinary event. Let us look at what happens further in verse number 30. Nacha shaknomi avasthatum bhramativa cha me manaha nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava.
I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of Kesi Daman. Hare Krishna.
So this, you can see the reaction is increasing. In the beginning, in the 20th verse, he was saying that the limbs are quivering for him. In the verse number 29, he was mentioning that his whole body is now trembling. And now verse number 30, it is said that he cannot even stand. And his mind is reeling. And that means he's completely now Brahmati. Brahmati means I have completely bewildered now. I don't understand what to do. And Very important, he's saying, Nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava, viparitani keshava. So he's saying everything as the cause of misfortune. So he's now, Arjuna is thinking, no matter what I do, I am seeing misfortune. If I fight, there is misfortune. If I fight and win, there is misfortune. If I fight and lose, there is misfortune. If I do not fight, there is misfortune. So no matter what I do, I am only seeing misfortune. And you can also think about it in our own life, that when the situation is quite tough and we are very confused, we also think like that. No matter what I do, I am now in such a situation that no matter what I do, it is going to fail. I'm going to be a failure. I'm going to have difficulty only. There is no way from my current situation that I can win somehow. So this is exactly what Arjuna is in. And Krishna is going to uplift him from such a situation. And this is a good lesson for all of us, that when Krishna is actually lifting Arjuna from that, we can also understand so many tips and tricks by which we can come out of such situations ourselves. But from this compassion scenario, we can learn a very important lesson. And that lesson is that compassion is a great virtue. But if the same compassion, such a great virtue, if it is applied to a wrong person at the wrong time, then it is not good. Some simple example. See, suppose a policeman, he is trying to catch a murderer. And when he catches that murderer, then he finds out that, oh, he's my friend or he's my relative. So just because this murderer is his relative or friend, can he have compassion and say that, oh, you go, but don't do this again? No, if he does that, then he is not doing his duty properly. And who's going to give the justice to the people who have suffered because of this murderer? And in not that extreme example, but we see this compassion that we can have while doing our duty many times in smaller situations. For example, if you're a manager and if you're recruiting for a person, then if there is a friend or a relative who's there, then there is a conflict of interest. But you can just go ahead and recruit such person, and you will ignore some more qualified people around, and you will just take that person. So this compassion is actually deviating us from doing our duty properly. So compassion is a good virtue, and we should have compassion, but the same good virtue, if it is applied to a wrong person at the wrong time, then it turns into a bad quality. Let us read further. Now, Arjuna is going to give a further reason. So compassion reason he has explained. Now he's going to talk about how he's not going to get any enjoyment out of this fighting. So first of all, from 27 to 30, these verses we saw, he is giving this reason of compassion. Now he's going to talk about, in the next 5 verses, loss of enjoyment. And this is also very, very interesting, and how it is applicable to our life as well, we will see very soon. Let's read verse number 31 first. Nacha shreyo nupashyami hatva swajana mahave na kangshe vijayam Krishna nacha rajyam sukhani cha. Who's reading?
Prabhu, can I read?
PD? Who's PD? Is that Parminder Prabhu?
Ji, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead. And then the next verse, Neeraj Prabhu can read.
I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happinesses.
So he's saying, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle. So again, he's talking about Swajanam. He's saying that they are all my own kinsmen. And I do not have any desire of any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So Arjuna is now giving up fighting. So, and he's not even attached. Attached to what? Attached to his victory or kingdom or happiness. And he's elaborating this further in the next 4 verses, 32 to 35, which are combined together, because he's talking about how he's not going to enjoy even if he wins the war. Let us look at that. Kim no rajyena govinda, kim bhogairjivitena va, yesha marte kangshitam no, rajyam bhoga sukhani cha, ta ime vastita yuddhe, pranans tyaktva dhanani cha, acharya pitara putra, tathaiva cha pitamaha, matula shvashura pautra, shalya sambandhinas tatha, etana hantumichhami, gnatopi madhusudana, अपि त्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य हेतो किं नु मही कृते निहत्य धार्तराष्ट्रान् न का प्रीति स्यात् जनार्दन.
Can I read?
I think Neeraj Prabhu had raised his hand before, so he can read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, please go ahead.
O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the 3 words, let alone this earth. What pleasure will be derived from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra?
Yeah, very interesting things are happening in these 4 translations. So the purport is also very wonderful. So we can actually also read the purport. So it's quite like a page full. So maybe 4 different devotees can read the purport. Yeah, Sunil Kumar Prabhu, you can start, and then Ashoka Mataji, you can read a few lines, and then Sevakraj Prabhu, you can do. Or maybe within these 3, you can do the purport. Sunil Kumar Prabhu, you start.
Sure. Arjuna has addressed Lord Krishna as Govinda because Krishna is the object of all pleasures for cows and senses. By using this significant word, Arjuna indicates that Krishna should understand what will satisfy Arjuna's senses. But Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses. If we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, however, then automatically our own senses are satisfied. You want me to continue?
Yeah, actually, it's a good point that you have stopped here. So it is quite interesting that we can see here the word Govinda. What is the meaning is mentioned here? Govinda is go means cows, and go also means senses. And Vinda means like the one who's actually satisfy the senses or the cows. So if we, so Arjuna is trying to say that you are Govinda, so you should satisfy my senses. And how am I going to be satisfied? So I will be satisfied if I do not fight. And if you actually want to kill all of these people, then you are Janardana anyway. Actually, it will come further in the purport. So you are Janardana anyway, and you are Madhusudana. You can kill all of them, and that way my senses will be fine. But actually, the main point here is Srila Prabhupada actually mentions that if we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, however, then automatically our senses are satisfied. So what is the right way of the word Govinda? Govinda means we have to try to should try to satisfy Govinda's senses. And when we try to do that devotional service, then our senses are automatically satisfied. It is like the big tree. And tree, if you water the root, then when the root is watered, then the entire tree is getting nourished. So that root is Lord Krishna himself. And when we water the root, when we try to water the root, and the water is absorbed by the root, then even the small leaf at the top of the tree, that also is going to be benefited, and that is also getting nourishment. So similarly, if we satisfy Lord Krishna's senses, we all are going to get satisfied. Yes, Ashoka Mataji, you can read further.
Materially, everyone wants to satisfy his senses, and he wants God to be the order supplier for such satisfaction. The Lord will satisfy the senses of the living entities as much as they deserve, but not to extent that they may covet poverty. But when one takes the opposite way, namely when one tries to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy one's own senses, then by the grace of Govinda, all desires of the living entity are satisfied. Arjuna's deep affection for community and family members is exhibited here partly due to his natural compassion for them. He is therefore not prepared to fight. Everyone wants to show his opulences to friends and relatives. But Arjuna fears that all his relatives and friends will be killed on the battlefield, and he will be unable to share his opulences after victory.
Yeah, this is again, yeah, we can pause it here. Mataji, we can pause a little bit here. So, so Lord is, it is very important point which is mentioned in the beginning where Mataji started. So Lord will satisfy the senses of the living entities as much as they deserve, but not to the extent that they covet. So we may want that we want this much happiness, this much satisfaction, this much pleasure, but Lord is not going to actually give you what you want, but you will get what you deserve. So depending on your own activities, like the karma and the reactions and the destiny of the previous activities, based on all of that, then you are going to get what you deserve. So you may want this much, but if you deserve this much, you are just going to get this much. And further down in this purport, then Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that it is a material calculation. Whenever we actually get something material, material gain or material opulence, then we want to show off that material thing to our friends and family members. And when they appreciate that, then we get the happiness. And that is why in the material world, this happiness is not absolute, it is relative. Relative means the happiness doesn't come from the activity itself, but the happiness comes when someone else appreciates that. So for example, if you put a new shirt and you go around in your to your friends and family members and no one recognizes that it is a new shirt, then you become like very morose, saying that, "Arey, I put this new shirt on and I looked at in the mirror and I was looking so handsome and this and that," and no one has even acknowledged, then you will not be happy. But just imagine you have put this new shirt and when you go into your friend circle, immediately says, "Wow, what a wonderful shirt. And you are looking so nice today. And this and that. Is it your birthday today?" This and like, as soon as they start appreciating like this, then your happiness comes, right? So similarly, here it is in the current generation, what is the point in having Facebook page? Like if you have Facebook page and you have put some photo or message there and no one likes it, is your happiness going to come just by posting your photo or message on Facebook? No. When all the other people starts liking it or start putting some comments, then you feel happier. Someone has recognized, someone has acknowledged. So this is what is happening here. So Arjuna is saying that what is the point in winning this kingdom? If after winning this kingdom, for all the people for whom I should win the kingdom, like my brothers, my grandfathers, my fathers, my maternal uncles, my friends, and if all of them are killed in this war, even if I get the kingdom, with whom I can enjoy? It is not possible to enjoy for me. So that's why he's saying that if there is no enjoyment, what is the point in fighting a war? And Srila Prabhupada gives a very wonderful example in the remaining purport. So let's read further from there.
Prabhu, can I start or someone?
No, Sevakraj Prabhu and Kalakali Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Typical calculation of material life. The transcendental life, however, is different. Since a devotee wants to satisfy the desires of the Lord, he can, Lord willing, accept all kinds of opulence for the service of the Lord. And if the Lord is not willing, he should not accept a farthing. Arjuna did not want to kill his relatives, and if there were any need to kill them, he desired that Krishna kill them personally. At this point, he did not know that Krishna had already killed them before their coming into the battlefield, and that he was only to become an instrument for Krishna. This fact is disclosed in following chapters. As a natural devotee of the Lord, Arjuna did not like to retaliate against his miscreant cousins and brothers, but it was the Lord's plan that they should all be killed. The devotee of the Lord does not retaliate against the wrongdoer, but the Lord does not tolerate any mischief done to the devotee by the miscreants. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjuna wanted to excuse them.
So here it is mentioned that Lord can forgive someone who does any offense against Lord, against himself. But he will never excuse anyone if someone offends his devotees. And the example that I was talking about was in the previous purport, where Srila Prabhupada mentions that therefore he is not willing to fight, just as a person who does not feel hunger is not inclined to cook. So if someone is not feeling hungry, then he wouldn't even want to do the cooking. So similarly here, Arjuna is not wanting to kill anyone, and he doesn't even want the kingdom or the victory or whatever. So he is not ready to fight. So this is how we can see that this conversation is going on here. Vibhor Prabhu, do you have a question?
Yes, Ambarish Prabhuji, I have a question here. Lord is basically creating a plan for the ones who are wrongdoing the devotees. But in that Chauda Akshoni Sena that Kauravas have, it includes the Narayani Sena of Lord himself.
Yeah.
Why would he put the devotees of his own in danger? What was the God's plan to basically cause harm to his own army?
Yeah. So it's a wider question, but we will just briefly try to mention. So even when the Lord appeared, so many of his followers as well, they appear with him. And when the Lord is about to finish his pastime over a period of time, he also wants to wrap up all of that and then go back. So some of those followers, he finished in this war. And then it was not the Narayana Sena entirely what was wiped off. There were many other warriors from the Narayana Sena. They were still alive. And Krishna arranged another situation to finish them off from the earthly planet, so that the earthly planet is not burdened by them. So Krishna brings them with him and then takes away when he's about to go from here. So he has his own plans to do it. Okay. Okay. So here, so this is in these 5 verses, we can see that Arjuna has given this example or the reason for not fighting, which is loss of enjoyment. So what we can learn from this? So this attachment, if we actually think about when we are doing our duty, if we are attached and we are thinking about our own enjoyment, then what will happen is that attachment will deviate us from the duty. So what is why there is corruption? So when the corruption is nothing but you're trying to do your duty, but while doing your duty, you get too much attached to what I am going to get out of it. And you want more and more happiness, more and more pleasure for yourself. And that is where the corruption comes. Then you ask, like the bribes come, and then you say that, okay, you give me this, and then I will get this work done. And this attachment for enjoyment will lead to the deviation. So you can see that many of the, like if you see the history of India, there are many wars which have happened. And many of the, or most of those wars which the great kings have lost, they were because of some internal treason that happened. So one person, for example, this war of Jhansi, where Rani Lakshmibai was defeated. So she was defeated because this one person thought that my personal gain is more important than the wider duty or the benefit of the wider community. And he went and told the British army that which are the weak points on that fort. And then British army just attacked at that part of the fort, and then Jhansi was lost. And Rani Lakshmibai was defeated there in that war. So this is the problem, that even one person who's not doing his duty properly and he's focused too much on his own enjoyment and his own benefits, then it will completely create some chaos. So Arjuna is also in the similar situation. His duty as a Kshatriya is to fight and establish dharma over adharma. But because he is now attached to his family members, and though they have done so many bad activities, still Arjuna is now thinking that if I actually fight and kill them, then there will be a problem, and he doesn't want this war to go ahead. And he's saying that I will not fight. So he is getting deviated from his duty. Now the third reason he is going to give in next few verses. Let us look at these reasons. Vidushi Mataji, do you have a question?
Oh, no, Prabhuji, I just wanted to read the translation.
Okay, so the next translation you can read.
Thank you.
So reasons, so we have already seen two reasons, compassion and loss of enjoyment. Now he's going to give, in the next 3 verses, he's going to give this reason for fear of sinful reaction. He's going to say that, why should I kill so many people? And out of these people who you are asking me to kill and fight against, they are Bhishma, who's my grandfather, they are my seniors. And then Drona, who's my like a guru. And if so these people should be worshipped. And instead of worshipping them, if I kill them, then I'm going to get sinful reaction. And how can I be satisfied if I get sinful reactions? Because sinful reactions, in the long term, if you see, then I'm going to suffer because of those sinful reactions. So let us look at this verse number 36. Papameva shaye dasman hatvaita atainan tasman narha vayam hantu dhartarashran sabandhavan swajanam hi katham hatva sukhinasyam madhava. Yes, Maharaj, please go ahead.
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen?
If you can continue reading, and the first 6, like a small part of the purport, which mentions the 6 aggressors.
Yes, Prabhuji. According to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors: a poison giver, one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another's land, and one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors.
Yeah. So here it is mentioned now in this verse, sin will overcome us. So Arjuna is now worried. So he has given these 2 reasons, but he's continuing to give the 3rd reason now. He's now saying that sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Now, on one side, he's calling them aggressors. Aggressors, in the Shastra, it is mentioned there are 6 kinds of aggressors. A person who gives poison, and giving poison, he's trying to kill. And there are 6 kinds of aggressors which are mentioned, and all 6 we can see that Kaurava are fitting in like perfectly for all those 6 points. So the first one, poison giver. So when Bhima and Duryodhana, they were all still children. At that time, Duryodhana gave poison because he was so envious of Bhima, and he knew that out of all the Pandavas, if there is only one person who can kill him, that is going to be Bhima, because Bhima was a club fighter, and as well as he was very, very strong. So Duryodhana decided that I have to actually get rid of him, even in the childhood. So we can see how envious and his character and sinful he was. So Duryodhana gave poison to Bhima, and then when Bhima was little unconscious at that time, he tied him up and threw in the river, and he thought that now Bhima is dead. So, but what happened when he was thrown into the river? There were some poisonous snakes in the river, and those poisonous snakes started biting Bhima, and that poison actually countered the poison that Duryodhana had given to Bhima. And then Bhima became conscious, and then he was taken to Nagaloka, and then he was given some special drinks by which he became even more stronger. It is mentioned that by drinking those special things which were given to him in Nagaloka, he received the strength of 10,000 elephants. 10,000 elephants. So Duryodhana wanted to kill him, but instead he became even more stronger. Then the aggressor, second type of aggressor is the person who sets fire to the house. And we can, those who have read Mahabharata, you all know that Duryodhana also did this. So he put like all these Pandavas were staying in that house made of lac, which was made by Duryodhana, so that when the house was set on fire, he was thinking all the Pandavas will be killed inside it. Then the third kind of aggressor it is mentioned is one who attacks with deadly weapon. And we know that in Kurukshetra war as well, which is what is going to happen. But before even that, there was a war that happens just after their exile was of 13 years was finished in Virat. And there as well, they were attacked. Unprovoked attack was done by Duryodhana on Pandavas. Then the fourth one is mentioned as the one who plunders the riches. And we all know that in the gambling match, they cheated, and through that, they actually took over all the wealth, and they plundered all the riches of Pandavas. The fifth one is mentioned is occupies another's land. So Duryodhana has, as this entire war is happening because Duryodhana has occupied Indraprastha, which was rightfully belonged. Actually, the entire kingdom was belonging to Yudhishthir Maharaj, but it was split into two, and one part was given to him as Indraprastha by Dhritarashtra, but even that was actually usurped by Duryodhana. And the last one was mentioned as kidnaps one's wife. So we know that Draupadi was how she was humiliated by Duryodhana and Karna and Dushasan. So on one side, Arjuna understands that these Kauravas or the Duryodhana and the party, they are aggressors. And the Shastra mentioned that this aggressor should be killed. And there are many reasons why it is recommended in the Shastra that they should be killed. One reason is that it is for the benefit of the aggressors also. Because if the aggressor is not killed, then they will keep doing the sinful activities. So it will stop their activities. And as we can see, Duryodhana has slowly, after over a period of time, he has done so many other sinful activities, including all the 6 things. And the other important reason why the aggressor should be killed is that it sets an example in front of the other people. Because if the aggressors are not punished, then the other people will also start thinking that, oh, all of these things, even if I do, there is no consequence for me. And because of that, then more and more people will try to do these sinful activities because they are not fearful of the reaction. And also, ultimately, the someone who is an aggressor, if he's only put into a prison, then what is happening is this aggressor is his victims are basically taking care of this aggressor in the prison. He's actually providing the shelter. The victim is providing all the food, like all the tax money he's paying. From that, they are getting like nourished as such. So this is not proper, and that is why in the Arthashastra it is mentioned that if anyone who has done this 6 kind of activities, then they should be killed. But here Arjuna is saying that they are aggressors, but at the same time, because of the compassion, he's thinking that they should not be killed, because he is actually referring to a higher Shastra, which is Dharma Shastra. And in Dharma Shastra, which is mentioned that one's own relatives and one's own friends should not be harmed or killed. So he's saying that, okay, the Arthashastra is saying that aggressors should be killed, but he's taking a higher ground, and he's from the higher ground, he's saying that they should not be killed. So we'll read the next 2 verses and then we'll stop. Yadapyetina pashyanti lobopahata chetasa kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradohe cha patakam katham na neya masmabhi papadasman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosha prapashad bhir janardana. Yeah, Devika Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I had a question though, but I will read this. No worries.
Yeah,
I can ask the question later.
Correct.
O Janardhan, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin?
So here we can see that Arjuna is taking a higher ground. And he's saying that these people, they don't understand what should be done and what should not be done. But we are a little bit better off. We understand the dharma. If they are doing adharma, why should we also do adharma just to punish them? So that is why he's saying that we will not do the sinful activities. Even if they want to do the sinful activity, we will not do it. And that is why he is now saying that I will not fight because of this. So one important lesson that we can get, just like from the loss of enjoyment, we saw this lesson. The fear of sinful reaction is also a very similar lesson. So in the loss of enjoyment, we saw that the person who is doing the duty is attached to enjoyment, and that is why he can deviate. This is a similar lesson that if we think about our own suffering while doing the duty, then that aversion or that attachment as well will deviate us from our duty. So both the enjoyment, if we focus on our enjoyment, we will deviate from our duty while doing the duty. Or if we actually focus on the fear that we will suffer while we are doing the duty, then also we will get deviated. And a simple example that we recently had this pandemic, Corona pandemic. So if the doctors, if they thought of their own suffering, then you can imagine that how much more the patients would have suffered. Because doctors, that is their duty to actually treat the patients, no matter what is the situation. And even though the situation was very contagious, the doctors were still, at least many doctors were still doing their duty, and they were not thinking about their own suffering. So this is very important. And even our day-to-day life as well. For example, a mother in summer season, especially in India, where the temperatures are 45, 40, 50, like that is going nowadays in summer. So if a mother thinks about her comfort in summer, then she will never go to the kitchen. Why will she go in front of the fire? Already it is so hot, and she will never cook, and the children will remain hungry. So if we actually think about our own suffering when we are doing our duty, then we will not be able to do our duty properly. And so that is why this aversion of sinful reactions or sufferings, or the attachment of our own enjoyment, both needs to be given up to do our duty properly. And that is what Krishna is going to mention in the second chapter. So let's quickly summarize. Devika Mataji, I'll come to your question, but let's quickly summarize what we have learned till now today, and then we will take some questions in the end. Who wants to mention what we have learned today in today's session? Have we learned something?
Prabhu, in the battlefield, there are five generations.
Yeah, 5 different generations which are there. Yes, very good. Vidushi Mataji, Uma Mataji.
So in the shlokas that we did today, Prabhuji, so firstly, Arjuna is overwhelmed by the attachment that he has to his swajans or his family members, and then he comes to compassion for them. Then he outlines that he will not get any happiness or enjoyment, whether he wins or loses. Then he becomes fearful of the sinful reaction of doing his duty.
Yeah, good. Devika Mataji, you still are raising your hand for the question, or you want to actually also contribute towards?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I'll ask the question in the end. No worries.
Yes, okay.
Sorry.
Melissa, do you have any comments or question or points that you want to mention in the summary?
Compassion is a virtue, but if it's used for the wrong person at the wrong time, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, very good. Yes, excellent. Surananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. If we try to satisfy Govinda's senses, then automatically our senses get satisfied.
Excellent. Very good. Vibhor Prabhu.
It compares the compassion status and the personality types between Dhritarashtra, Arjuna, and Duryodhana. While Duryodhana is more diplomatic and he wants to incite his warriors, Arjuna is more compassionate. On the other hand, Dhritarashtra is very Putra Moho. He's very committed to his kingdom and his sons, and he wants them at any and all cost. While Arjuna wants Krishna, so he is not ready to fight, and that's why he's having this conversation with Krishna.
Okay, very good. Jitam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So one important was on this verse where it was talking about the Lord who is only there to excuse a person. The Lord can only excuse a person on his own account, but he doesn't excuse someone who offends his own devotees.
Correct.
So that is
so he's ready to forgive if someone does offense towards the Lord for himself, but he is not ready to forgive if someone offends his devotees. Very good. Parina Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So one of the lessons that I took from today's classes, if we think or if we get more attached to our personal gain or enjoyment, then we get distracted from our duty.
Yeah, it's a very important lesson that if we actually worry that while doing my duty, what enjoyment I'm getting, if you only focus on that, we get deviated. And we only focus on how much suffering I will get. It is so difficult and there is so much effort that is required for doing it. So let me not do it. So that also we get deviated. Yes, Ram Mohan Prabhu.
Prabhuji, happiness in this material world is not absolute. It's just a relative.
Relative, yes, very good. And Neeraj Prabhu.
We think about our own sufferings while doing the duty, then also we'll be deviating ourselves.
Okay, very good. I think we have covered all the points. So we'll take one or two questions. Yes, Devika Mataji, you had this question.
Yes, Prabhuji, I was asking if someone, for example, sets my house to fire and I kill him. Obviously, I'm a criminal in the eyes of law, but am I a sinner in the eyes of Krishna? Because I'm going by Vedic injunctions.
Yeah. So actually very good that you have asked this question. I should have mentioned while this was happening. So we have to actually follow the law of the land. So the Vedic instructions have been given, but we cannot just actually follow the Vedic instruction from the perspective that we cannot take the law in our own hand. So in the Vedic times as well, the aggressors can be punished by the Kshatriyas or the administrators or the rulers who are there. At that time as well, it was not allowed that anyone who against whom this is happening, they will just do take the law in their hand, and they will try to kill the person who is doing this activity. So they were also supposed to go to the king or the other authority and then talk to them, tell them about what has happened, and then get the justice for them. So there may be different laws depending on where you are, as we are currently staying, and based on that we have to really follow that law and not take the law in our hand. And of course it was not allowed at the Vedic times as well. So we should remember that even though it is said that these aggressors can be killed, it is not supposed to be like you are not supposed to go and kill them. Depending on what is the situation as per the local laws, that we will have to complain and then go through the process and then get the justice for that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Good. Sunil Prabhu, you have a question? You are on mute, Prabhuji, so please unmute yourself and please ask.
Yes, now I just want to contribute the last thing.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
So the 3 reasons for not fighting. The number one, compassion. The second, loss of enjoyment. Third, fear of sinful reaction.
Yeah, and there are 2 more reasons which are going to come. They will. Fourth reason is going to come in the next session, and yeah, probably. And in the second chapter, when we start the second chapter, we'll see the 5th reason as well. So total 5 reasons Arjuna is giving, and 3 reasons we have covered. 2 more reasons are coming.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments? Okay, Vibhor Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. First of all, I think in the verses it said that Arjuna keeps Dharma Shastra above Artha Shastra, and that's why he is confused. Now, with this all Maya world being created by Krishna for our enjoyment, why would Lord Krishna create such a situation where, I mean, someone has to commit an act in the name of dharma and still worry for sinful reaction, because the law of karma is gonna come back to Arjuna probably later in his life. So why would this happen?
Yeah, good question. So even though this material world is created for our own enjoyment, there are so many enjoyers here. So you also want to enjoy. You have also come down for your enjoyment. I am also come here for my own enjoyment. So there are so many, like millions of or billions of enjoyers who are there. And when everyone is trying to enjoy in this situation, they are going to step over each other, because we want to be also controllers, and we want to control others. We want to enjoy. So while doing that, there has to be some rules and regulations, that when so many enjoyers and controllers are together. And that is why Lord Krishna has created this law of karma. It is saying that, okay, you want to be a controller and you want to be an enjoyer, then I'm giving you some rules and regulations so that everyone can be the controller, everyone can become the enjoyer without making other people suffer. But if you actually not follow these laws that I'm giving you, then there will be implications. And that is why the law of karma has been created. So if there were no implications, then everyone, for example, anyone who's wanting to enjoy and he doesn't have, suppose, money, then he will just go and do the thefts everywhere and kill people, plunder their money, and there will be no implication, because he will say that I have come here for enjoyment. Then for my enjoyment, I require wealth, and that is how I'm getting. So there should be no implications. But for getting that wealth, you have already killed so many people, and they were also wanting to enjoy. So Lord has created this law of karma, so that if you actually do something, then there has to be some implications. And that is why it is mentioned. So is that what your question was, or your question was a little bit different, Vibhor Prabhu?
Yes and no, Ambarish Prabhu. So you explained it right, but Arjuna followed dharma and he still has to bear with karma. If someone is following dharma, why would they have to fear? Or ultimately, towards the end of Mahabharata, these guys could not reach heaven. So, I mean, the point is that the entire cycle did not end up very well for Arjuna. So
no. Okay, I understand now. So he doesn't actually, we can see from the second chapter itself, when we look at when Lord Krishna starts explaining to him Lord Krishna clearly says that the sinful reactions that you are talking about, they are not right. So Arjuna is actually using Shastra. So this is the problem, that when we actually know a little bit of Shastra, then, or the scriptures, we can use the scriptural knowledge wrongly as well to do whatever we want to do. So here Arjuna has already thought that I don't want to fight. And he is using the scriptural knowledge to support his reason or his decision of not fighting. So here Arjuna is applying the Shastra or scriptures in a little bit wrong way and giving these reasons for not fighting. But Arjuna will be corrected by Krishna in the next chapter onwards in Bhagavad Gita. And the point that you mentioned that they could not reach heaven, that is not correct as well. So actually they went back to the spiritual world. So
Yep. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. I think we will stop here. It's already 10 minutes, little bit over because of few questions. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.